Guys, we're on site learning epoxy flooring over a concrete slab. I'm gonna teach you step by step, start to finish, from patching cracks to properly preparing a concrete slab for Stone Coat Epoxy. You can have a seamless designer floor for less than the price of tile with no grout joints. I was able to turn this worn out storage room into a beautiful, livable space that me and my family can enjoy for years to come. The steps are simple. I'm gonna teach you right now. Stay tuned and enjoy the video. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to prep with the least amount of money out of your pocket. I'll use a hand grinder with a 7-inch diamond cup wheel designed to level and grind concrete. You can pick up a cup wheel at your local hardware store, grab some knee pads while you're at it, and a dust shroud for your grinder. It was crucial in catching the dust while grinding that floor. Grinding the floor is the most labor-intensive part of the entire project. For a little extra cash out of that pocket, head to the rental store. Rent a walk-behind concrete grinder.
That has like no dust. It's crazy. That looks really good.
Let's talk about concrete cracks. I once heard a guarantee from a concrete contractor. Number one, nobody's gonna come and steal your driveway. Number two, it's gonna crack. Cracks are a thing in the concrete industry. We developed a simple to use epoxy floor patch patching gel. That's a 1-to-1 epoxy. You mix with a putty knife and you apply it right to your crack. Come back, sand that down. That crack is a thing of the past. I'll use a masonry diamond cut blade and draw out the crack. This eliminates any loose concrete and debris and makes room for the patching gel to fill that crack. Use a broom or vacuum to clean out that crack and clean up any oils, grease, anything like that before applying that patching gel. Our epoxy floor patch is a 1-to-1 ratio epoxy that I'm just gonna mix here right on my slab and then apply it into this crack. It's best to use a flexible putty knife to mix and apply the patch gel. Measure the patch gel at a 1-to-1 ratio by volume, and you're gonna mix until the two colors become one. It's really obvious to know when the mix is thoroughly mixed. All right, you'll know when you're mixed, when you have a uniform color. All right, take that mixed floor patch and smear it nice and heavy into your crack. No need to be in a mega rush here. You have 25 minutes to get this where you want it before it sets up. And you want to overfill your cracks because we're going to come back and sand them back flush. So I'll get it filled, scrape it off, and then I'll take this residual and just fill it back over it. Should have enough to do this whole other crack too. Fill the crack completely with the patch gel. Take time to feather out and level it a little proud of your concrete, but clean up any excess residue because it's gonna save you a bunch of time when we come back and sand that crack back flat to the concrete. The patching gel will be ready to sand between 4 and 6 hours later. Do our DIY plastic moisture test and coat your floors on a day that the slab is nice and dry. Sometimes basements that are below the ground level need to be addressed in the summertime.
All right, we are ready to seal coat.
Folks, the prep steps are complete. Now time for the fun part. Let's mix up some flooring epoxy. The first step with working with flooring epoxy over concrete, you're gonna want to apply a thin seal coat. Concrete is porous. Air is gonna come and incorporate itself into that epoxy as that layer of epoxy is curing. We're gonna mix up 1 ounce of flooring epoxy per square foot of concrete floor. We're gonna use a big wide roller to apply that nice and thin. You don't want any thick puddles left on that floor during that first seal coat. The thicker layer of epoxy allows those bubbles to get big as the air is escaping from your concrete. We don't want that. We want tiny bubbles. The very first coat we apply is very thin and applied with a roller. It's always good to have a nice area taped off where you could pop off your epoxy covered shoes or whatever. Have a nice area so you're not tracking epoxy on your customer or your own concrete or wherever. I'm gonna let the epoxy roll over that edge. That actually works. All right, let's figure out the square footage. We're at, let's say, 9.5 feet by 21 feet by 9.5 feet. 21 feet times 9.5 feet, 199 square feet. Let's call that 200 square feet. All right, and we need 1 ounce per square foot for a seal coat. 200 ounces of epoxy. Let's mix it up. A 1.5 gallon flooring kit is 192 ounces. My floor calls for 200 ounces. I'm gonna stretch it and just go with 1 full kit for my seal coat. I'm tinting my seal coat with our black metallic powder and I'm gonna mix it into our epoxy dispersion fluid. That makes mixing metallic powder into epoxy insanely easy. It's instant. So whenever using flooring, I would grab some dispersion fluid. It's worth its weight in gold. Each flooring kit comes with your choice of large metallic powder. This incorporates and wets out all that metallic powder. So when you pour it into the epoxy, it's already liquid. You don't have to sit and mix and mix and mix to incorporate and worry about any dry clumps. And there's no curing time with this product. You can put a lid on this and keep that forever good in that dispersion fluid. Okay. All right, we're ready. The Stone Coat's flooring epoxy is a 2-to-1 ratio and comes in 1.5 gallon or 15 gallon kits. I'll get a blob of flooring epoxy in front of the trowel and slowly move it along the wall, covering up all that concrete. When the perimeter is covered well, pour out the flooring epoxy and use your jumbo roller. I use about an 18-inch epoxy glide roller from Worcester. It's designed for epoxy for a nice tight, smooth finish, and it doesn't shed all over your epoxy. When the perimeter is covered well, use 91% isopropyl alcohol or a weed burner torch to remove any air incorporated into the epoxy while mixing and rolling on the material to the concrete. The concrete will continue to off-gas air into that seal coat as it begins to cure. This is totally normal. We're gonna come back tomorrow, 24 hours later, and we wanna see a bunch of tiny little bubbles, not big craters, not big marble holes with exposed concrete in the middle. If you come back and see marble-sized holes, you've applied too much epoxy during your seal coat. Don't panic, we can still fix this. Use some quick coat tinted in the same color as your seal coat to fill those holes. Let it completely dry. That's only gonna take a couple hours. Sand it back flat flush, and now we're ready to proceed forward. If you don't fill those big marble holes, what happens is air is gonna come out where that exposed concrete is, and your flood coat's gonna have little air bubbles right over those craters. So fill them before proceeding.
So both tools are really crucial for the seal coat. Your Epoxy Glide roller and the magic trowel. I'm starting in the edges first, and I'm gonna grab that roller and roll the whole project. I'm gonna mix some isopropyl alcohol on it, so that'll pop bubbles too. Just don't torch right away.
All right, it's the next day. Actually, it's been about 21 hours. My floor is no longer tacky or soft. It's ready to be sanded. I'm using a sheetrock sander here with a 10-inch disc. It'll make quick work of what I'm about to do. The only reason I'm sanding is to create a mechanical bond, and I'm gonna open up the micro bubbles that we were sealing tight with that seal coat. Again, concrete's porous, air comes out. We sealed it up with this thin layer of epoxy, but that thin seal coat is gonna be full of mini, micro, tiny little bubbles. That's totally normal. So when you show up the next day and you got micro bubbles everywhere, you did it perfect. If you show up the next day and you have jumbo bubbles, you had way too much seal coat on that first coating. There's too much material on there, it's gonna blow bigger bubbles. It's okay, don't worry. Sand those open, and if they're really big, apply some quick coat, seal those up. You're ready to pour that flood coat in about 2 hours.
Be sure to take care of your pest and rodent problem before pouring epoxy. Get out of there! Get out of there! Well, RIP. You're probably tired of watching me sweep and get any debris out, but guys, that's an important step when working on floors. You don't want any foreign debris coming into your flood coat. You want to focus on having a good time applying that flood coat and not picking stuff out of it. So proper prep is very important. Get all the dust and debris out of here before you mix up that flood coat. It's now time to apply that flood coat, and that's the best, most satisfying part of this project. The flood coat doesn't take any time at all. The tools needed for the flood coat, I like to use a magic trowel. I'll use that to apply the epoxy nice and tight to the corners of my wall. It gets it up under that sheetrock, so I have a really uniform finish. After I've applied it to the perimeter, I'll get my epoxy roller out. I got a jumbo one just to make my job easier when applying that copper to the floor. Then I'll get my accent colors. That's when I'll use the little weenie roller to meld those colors and make it look like a marbleized rusty copper sheet in my brand new shop. Let me know in the comments below, what colors do you want to see on Stone Coat's next epoxy floor? The color possibilities are nearly endless. Give me 3 of your favorite metallic colors to include in my next project. What I'm doing here is using some duct tape to build a little epoxy dam to keep my floor from rolling into this other garage. This part of my garage is a little bit lower. So this Gorilla Tape worked really good last time. Just gonna build a little dam here to keep the epoxy floor where I want it. But spoiler alert, this concrete slab, my 2-car garage, is coming next. I'll probably come back and peel this dam 4 to 5 hours after I mix this flooring epoxy. By that time, the 2-to-1 ratio flooring epoxy will be much thicker. It's gonna sit where I want it, but I'll still be able to peel that dam where I won't create any high points or anything where this threshold is. Check out that rust. Tell me that doesn't look like rust. Stone Coat's epoxy dispersion fluid does a super good job of instantly mixing metallic powders into our countertop or flooring epoxy. I highly recommend using this if you're gonna do your floor, so go with this dispersion fluid. It adds some selling and instantly mixes that powder into the epoxy. Stone Coat's metallic powders are made of real metals and minerals. Look at that. That is some rusty goodness right here. So when adding the dispersion fluid, just add enough till you can completely wet metallic powder. Yummy. All right, rust is ready. It's our blue earth. Cool. Each flooring kit comes with this jumbo amount of metallic powder. You want to heavily tint your flooring epoxy with either our epoxy dyes or metallic powders. And right now I'm getting all my metallic powders ready to be mixed well before I've mixed up my epoxy. Here's some of our copper. All right, we're gonna mix for 2 to 3 minutes. Just like the countertop epoxy, midway through, slow that powder mixer down from the sides and bottom to incorporate any undermixed flooring epoxy that's clinging to the side of the bucket. And then on the bottom, kind of go back and forth. I'm going real slow. And then pick it back up and mix for another minute or so. Let's tint that epoxy copper. I'm gonna hit my perimeter first. All right, so take the magic trowel and kind of just take that mass and get it up where you need it. You'll start running out, just get you a mass. No need to be in a rush at this point. You have plenty of time to get the epoxy where you want it. I'm just focusing on getting it up and underneath that sheetrock. No pressure. I'm not applying any pressure. I'm just letting that squeegee glide right across the surface. Bring this mass down here. You can see now why I chose the black metallic under it. Looks sweet. All right, now that the perimeter has got a good coating, I'm going to take out the rest of my copper here. Use your roller and apply a nice uniform coat.
Applying a flood coat of epoxy, it's pretty much the same process as that seal coat. It's just going to be thicker. Hit the perimeter first, then roll out the entire project with the copper flooring epoxy. There is no need to be in a rush here, folks. Stone Coat Flooring Epoxy was designed for the do-it-yourselfer. There's no nasty smell, zero VOCs, tons of working time to get your epoxy floor looking just the way you want.
Now get your trowel again, and we're just gonna skip it across. Just give it some random looks. This helps get rid of the rolled on look. But we're gonna come back and add the accent color here in a second. Let's go mix up that accent color. I'm gonna remove the air I incorporated into that flooring epoxy with some isopropyl alcohol. This is 91% clear alcohol. I'm just gonna mist the project. That's gonna break the surface tension and remove all that air you mixed into the flooring epoxy. This is going to be our two accent colors. This will be rust and a little bit of blue earth. Time to apply the accent color. Just pour some of that out. Where you wish. We're gonna come back with a weenie roller and start melding this together. Get a little bit of the leftover copper from earlier. Okay. To marbleize the metallic colors together, I like to use a weenie roller. Just kind of slop it around. I'm gonna bring some copper on top.
Now that the base is down, I'm gonna come back with my little weenie roller and incorporate the accent colors. This process is super fun. I think it was my favorite part of the entire project. I was able to watch this floor come to life right before my eyes. As the floor continues to self-level, the air bubbles that you incorporated mixing and working with the epoxy are going to start to work their way to the surface. This is completely normal and exactly how the flooring epoxy was designed. You can eliminate the air bubbles a couple of ways very easily and quickly. One, use 91% isopropyl alcohol and mist your floor. It's going to break up the surface tension, eliminating the air bubbles, and it's also going to add a really cool effect. It helps sell those metallic colors and add some pretty cool details. The second way, and it's pretty effective as well, is using heat to break up the surface tension. And the best way to do that is with a weed burner. I got a weed burner for about 40 bucks at the Home Depot. It works really well to eliminate the air out of the epoxy. The heat can also ripple and move some of that epoxy by helping it flow. That can also add some pretty sweet details where you've applied your accent colors.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna mist it again one more time here with the alcohol. I'm gonna get my blue earth. The alcohol can add cells, but the main reason is it breaks up the surface tension and allows that air to pop. All right, I'm gonna add one more accent color, blue earth. And I'm just gonna dip my roller in, meld that color in. Ooh boy, this is gonna be sweet. Oh boy, yes. Tommy Likey. Ooh, tell me that ain't gonna look sick, right? So where it's a little heavy, kind of roll up some brown. Smear it out. Ooh, yeah. Cool. Okay, I like that. I'm able to add just a little bit of this. I don't want to add too much. Add some of the color, roll it out, come back to the corner because I don't want too much blue, just an accent. Really smear it. A little bit goes a long way with that. Ooh, that's gonna be pretty. So I'm just dunking and a little runoff and I still have tons of time to work with this epoxy, guys. I'm in no rush. This part is really fun. This is where you can let the artist come out and shine. And the key also, folks, is I'm not over melding these colors. If you ever have too much in one area, push and change directions, feather it out. All these roller marks will get out of there. This floor will continue to self-level. This is a really easy way to meld this. I'm in total control of how much accent colors I'm putting in. All right. Again, hit the floor with some alcohol, 91%. Get rid of most of that air, and then we're gonna come touch it up with a propane torch or a heat gun to really get this floor bubble free.
My floor is coming together and it's looking fantastic. As you're wrapping up the color techniques and your floor's looking just the way you want it, you've melded all your colors together, take time on your way out to use that weenie roller and go over where you're walking. Your little spikes will leave little polka dots behind. Use that weenie roller, a quick little meld. Those dots are a thing of the past. The epoxy floor has been curing for 48 hours. I'm excited to see how it turned out. Let's check it out. Folks, this floor turned out so sweet. My customer, my beautiful wife, is nothing but smiles. This floor's been curing for a couple days. I'm gonna peel the tape. I'm gonna add some baseboard, give this room a fresh coat of paint, and we're off to the races. This project was done in 4 days, but that's counting 2 days to cure. It's winter right now, so what I've done is I left a small space heater running in this room for the past 2 days, just to keep the... Check it out. How durable is epoxy flooring? Perfect. I'm super pleased with how this turned out. The blue looks very, very nice and subtle with that rust and copper. There's clouds of detail where I use that weenie roller to incorporate those colors. I'm more than pleased. It was a ton of fun. The hard work was the prep, but that was only a day and a half. Not that big a deal. It took me about 4 hours to prep this floor on my hands and knees, including the crack fill. The seal coat was simple. That's just rolling on epoxy. No big deal either. The flood coat, that was a ton of fun. I was not in a rush. I have plenty of time to get this epoxy floor to look just the way we want. And I couldn't be more happy with how this turned out. We designed and developed Stone Coat's flooring epoxy to be DIY friendly. Don't be intimidated by the size of the project. Proper prep is important, and when you properly prep, your epoxy floor goes really smooth. I couldn't be more pleased with how this floor turned out. It looks so much better than it did before I applied Stone Coat flooring epoxy. I was able to turn this worn out storage room into a beautiful, livable space that me and my family can enjoy for years to come. I hope I was able to help you gain some confidence to tackle that worn out floor. Cover it with Stone Coat Epoxy, you won't regret it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and from Stone Coat Countertops, you got this, and we'll see you on the next video.